Tell your friends about this.
Tell your friends jump in the GS3. I got the chronic by the tree.
Good morning, evening, afternoon, and even, whatever. And what up, Chris?
It's 4:20 somewhere.
It's 4:20 somewhere, homie. It's 4:20 somewhere, homie. That's what they said. That's what she said. That's what he said. And it's definitely not 4:20 here, though, because according to the international clock line, it's the top of the hour.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock, baby.
All right. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and that somewhere is where Chris is at, clearly.
Yes.
So it is, of course, the Wake and Bake America show, America's longest running original AM/FM radio show that is now a podcast. America's dopest of the dope-est. Mostly because we're smoking a lot of that. They are they are dope there, fellers. I don't know, though. We can't say we smoke dope because nowadays, depending on what
It's
crowd you
not
run in, that means different things.
Yes. Very much so.
That changes things.
Yeah, because cannabis being more legal now has gained better terminology.
The terminologials. I like terminologials. I get all terminological with it. Living my best terminological life. I
Trying
don't
to.
even know if that's the thing. So, hindsight, my friend. We are here to discuss cannabis rescheduling. What now for America, Chris? What now? With a
What
question mark.
now? It's definitely going to be a slow roll. I mean, obviously, we're dealing with governmental issues on other spectrums. Uh, However, cannabis is in the rule making stage uh, of the process, which is definitely a step forward for us. Has it stalled? Yeah, I would imagine. It's going to probably take another year or two. Uh, we'll say for the best. I mean, you know how slow lawmakers move. You have to get DOJ approval. You have to get the DEA approval. We're already backed by the health department. So, I mean, even though it's a slow going process, we still are making steps forward in this whole issue. We also have to remember that this is not going to federally legalize cannabis on the recreational level. It is merely rescheduling cannabis so that it can be researched, studied uh, here in the United States by doctors, scientists, college students. Um, and it's definitely going to be a drastic push forward for the medical use, the medical reasoning behind the uses, what it can and can't help with. Um, and ultimately you have to remember it's like any other type of medicine. Certain strains are going to work for certain people and certain strains aren't going to work for other people. Just like your regular pharmaceuticals that you get prescribed by your doctor, some things work and some things don't. It's not for everybody.
I mean, honestly, not
But
even
in
one bit. Oh, go ahead. You finish.
right. In hindsight, we have to look on the positive side. We have made drastic steps forward from even 10 years ago. You would have never thought cannabis would be where it is today back when I was younger.
100%. And welcome to the party, pal. So,
Right.
I really should get that as an audio cut, but then I'll just get sued by whatever studio owns that movie. Like, we know the game. No, I'll get sued once we're big enough to get sued, but otherwise I won't get sued. You got to get big enough to get sued first. Let me tell you.
Yeah, they gotta want your money.
You know, every once in a while, you get a cease and desist from one of the largest R&B groups of it all time in history. It's not your fault, but it happened. Unbeknownst to me is the word I like to use when telling that story. But anyway, I think that's a very good legal term you could use in court. Unbeknownst to me, I may have been a victim in this too. All right, that's probably too far. All right, so honestly, I think it's a huge shift away from the, you know, going back, you know, 100 years, basically standing on cannabis policy, or even longer than 100 years, whatever it's been, on cannabis policy that it's it's weeds, lettuce, and so for it to go to Schedule 3, again, while like you said, that's not full legalization. It definitely puts it in more of the realm with like Tylenol with codeine. Honestly, that's probably a good example right there, because that is a Schedule 3
Yep.
drug. Um, I think right away, at least, one of the first big wins will probably be the tax relief that cannabis businesses that are operating in the medical realm, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That so well,
It's not gonna be um focused towards businesses that deal with recreational. I
or maybe
almost
your
guarantee
recreational
you.
sales are taxed differently or whatever.
Right, they will. You may not get the same type of tax kickback as a medical facility will.
Yeah, and they're looking,
Due
like
to
70-80% tax rates to get them down to like normal 30 to 50% business tax rates, right?
right. Plus, this will also open up doors for safe banking for
Which we
these.
know you only pay, just for the record, which we know they only pay like 5 or 10 if they pay that percent. A man can dream
Well,
just about equality.
then these businesses, especially like the producers, will be able to uh, file tax deductions for improvements to their company, buying new equipment, safety issues, and then we'll have people like OSHA in there to make sure health and safety standards are where they need to be. Even though the health department is in 99.9% of these facilities on a regular basis, there's other safety issues, the Safe Labor Act, all kinds of shit that have to be thought about, and then it'll also be easier for some of these businesses to unionize so that, the workers are protected.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, you can talk about things like being able to deduct something as simple as, the cost of paying your employees, right? Because while you don't pay an 80% tax, if you can't deduct the cost of paying an employee for earning that money, right? And then deducting that loss, then it's like you're being taxed at 80%. You know what I mean? I just want to
Yeah,
make that clear. No business is actually paying federal taxes at 80%, but when you can't deduct the conventional things that get other businesses down to, a 10, 5, 15, 20% tax bill, these companies are paying 3, 4, or even 5, well, 4, about 3 to 4 times that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, all in all, it will be a very positive thing once they get all the rules and regulations hashed out. Once they figure out who's going to be allowed to test it, who's going to do the research. Uh, this will also open up doors for colleges to get federal grants to actually do studies on this stuff.
Because you studied coding with Tylenol, just gonna be that asshole. Throw that out there real quick. Clearly, you studied that.
But yeah, we have to have the research done one way or another. I imagine they'll be doing human trials, yada, yada, yada. And this is a lot of the type of research we need to have done here in the States because even though outside of the US, studies have been done elsewhere that we've drawn information from here in the US to fight in our battle for the legalization of cannabis, both medically and recreationally. Um, if we can get the scientific proof actually done here in the US, it'll probably hold more water.
Legalize it, man. Legalize it. No, honestly, um, people, just like just like how the metaphorical Berlin Wall of cannabis started to fall. Um, yeah, I equate you guys to communist over this. Seriously. Anyway, um, but haters gonna hate. So, you know, piece by piece, the wall comes down. You know,
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And this will probably open up doors for states that aren't even close to even getting any type of legislation passed for medical and or recreational use in their state.
well, yeah, and I think you can also look at a bigger, like, by de facto look at something, guys, is folks, when that first domino fell in California in 1996, um I think it was 1996, right? Yeah, it was 1996.
Yes, yes.
When that first domino fell in 1996, then you saw Colorado follow suit in 2000 with their medical program. But what you didn't see was for 16 years or like 4 election cycles, right? What you didn't see for 16 years or again, 4 election cycles was Colorado passed that first recreational bill. And so you kind of have to look at the federal setup and the way the federal, the way the feds are moving is, you have to really look at we're in 2026. That was 30 years ago now, Chris, which is really awful
Yeah, I
because
know
I
it.
started high school 30 years ago. Ah, I'm grandkids deep, a lot of them.
Yeah, but if you think about how long it took before cannabis even started to become legal from when they stigmatized it, I mean, it's pretty much right on track.
Yeah.
It's
I also got to say
about the
that this
same
Reba
amount of
that I
years.
smoked, I took a huge bong grip of this Reba before we started the show. Okay. Just for context. It's probably the only weed I've ever smoked that's had me not interrupt you while you're talking.
Yeah,
I think we found the magic, Chris. I think we finally found the magic bullet. So, so anyway, let me see here. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to think. I'm actually in a lot of pain, but well, not a lot, but a good amount, enough. But Tylenol without codeine, just Tylenol. That's just regular Tylenol. Just for anyone asking, they're like Tylenol with codeine. I'm like, well, I take Tylenol without codeine, so take that. And a little weed, yeah, we'd be all right. I will tell you that some other things that we, kind of needs to be considered, I think for besides validation for research, you can start looking at getting prescriptions. I think you may see a larger move into the market from the bigger pharmaceutical companies. One, like Walgreens wants me to come get my ounce of weed from them for X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense? Um,
yes,
I think we have a little while to go on things like the Safe Banking Act, right? Like it's been there, it's been ready to be voted on, but I think that the biggest thing with the Safe Banking Act is that, look, I go back to the first domino, California, 1996, medical bill passed to take mercy on people who didn't want to take drugs. You know what I'm saying? And then again, 12 years later, recreational, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, Even the 1996 people still can't bank today. You understand?
yeah. And
Not the same.
I'm looking up some information. The Marijuana Tax Act started in 1937 and ended in 1970 on October 27th due to President Nixon. So, yeah, roughly 30 years after they made marijuana illegal again, we got it back on the boards where it's now become more or less stigmatized.
And with
So
less
let's just
stigmatism,
hope.
you can see clearly. Sorry, you couldn't resist.
Yeah, we've taken some of the blindfold off some of the people that were so hell bent that, it's such a horrible thing, and kind of like believing the bullshit that's coming out of certain presidents' mouths. I mean,
Hmm.
it's hard to convince people that don't want to believe in anything other than information from one source.
Information is something I'm very loving of, but not from one source because I'm not a moron. All right? Just saying, Clarence from Tucson, more than one source. You've been told twice now when you submit something, okay, Clarence? Anyway, am I getting clearance, Clarence? All right, no, I'm just like, again, we're allowed to use like 3 lines from 2 movies every season, and then after that, I get worried if we're going to get in trouble. All right, so anyway, when it comes to banking, and I think, like I said, I think the biggest thing is like now that it's a Schedule 3 drug, pretty much any medical dispensary is selling medicine that's prescribed by a el doctor. So I think that at least from the perspective of having a medical facility setting up, like, a lot of these places, they grow their stuff in other locations and then their shop is a separate location. Now, I think a lot of that is partly to so that if they raid your shop, you don't lose your crop, or if they raid your crop, you don't lose your shop. I feel like that's why that is. But either
you
way,
you want to know something funny? Here in Michigan, there's a lot of companies that grow their weed right on site.
here too, but which I will say this, I do have an affinity for the shops that do grow their weed on site and are like where it's connected into the dispensary because I think just feeling, smelling all those fresh green, not just cut
Right.
weed, not just consumable
Oxygen
cannabis.
purinating.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, through all the different phases of maturity, of
Yeah, well,
maturitism.
they're air filters,
Mhm.
just like any other plant. They're filtering all the contaminants and carbon dioxide and get
Absolutely.
this. I'm reading some more information on the Tax Act here. Um, the reason why they struck the Tax Act in 1937 down, it was done by the Supreme Court, found that the tax stamp required forced self-incrimination, making it unconstitutional, which led way for the stricter laws that came on from President Nixon and Congress on turning it into a Scheduled One drug.
Yeah,
So by end,
honestly, I've for over a decade, we've had that debate, Chris, about like why, um, going back other shows we've been on, why a drug that has not actually killed anyone, not it has no direct link to killing someone, um, no direct link to an overdose death type of situation, and they're labeling it as deadly as things that people overdose on every day, and that was just really, and they knew this back then. Like this ain't nothing new today. Um, it just is weird to me that a plant that cannot be that deadly in its raw form is listed in its raw form.
well, see, and the real funny thing too is like back in the 70s when they started to enforce the stigmatism on cannabis. They were saying it made people crazy. It made people rape other people, and you know, just a bunch of wild accusations about what cannabis actually did to people. And the only people that were doing this were Mexicans and black people, and they really put a race to it, just like they do a lot of things these days, like immigration and a lot of other things. They throw a race into it, and that gives them a reason to target them.
Man, first, I think 3 of my first 4 weed dealers were white dudes.
Ain't that the nuts?
That's just the truth of it. I'm like, listen,
A hippie.
my white brethren, because as a mixed child of multiple races, quite frankly, everybody's my brother.
Uh,
Even if I'm
uh,
like that cousin that even if you don't know we're cousins, we're cousins.
uh,
We're not like cousins on that new show I've been watching though. Ooh, uh-oh. We'll talk about that at the end. Sometimes something like just gives the streaming app giveth and the streaming app taketh, and this time the streaming app giveth. Okay, that's just what it is. But anyway, pause for a quick identification, brah.
Hey, yo. Booming systems across Colorado.
To hear the crowd go. Shake the room.
We like the cars that go boom.
That means I'm chilling.
Lazy.
So I think something else that you're probably not going to see change right this minute, but I do believe will change probably quicker than a lot of things, though. Fair enough is probably the way to word this one in my notes I took for class. But one of the biggest problems, I'm going to call it that, okay, for any intoxicating thing, Chris, any
mhm.
intoxicating, whatever. I think one of the, excuse me, sorry, one of the biggest problems with the intoxicants, intoxicatos, hombre, Holmes. Just kidding. No, I'm just being a dick. But is that you have to think about that. No, at no time in history that I can think of, at least I'm talking modernly speaking, right? When it mattered. In no time in history, modernly speaking, since drug testing, we'll go with drug testing, okay, Chris?
Mhm.
At no time in modern history since drug testing has started has a person been authorized, is probably a good way to use it, right? To use a substance that you could find 30 to 45 days after they used it at no time in history. So I think that there's a lot to iron out on, like, and I'll start with my first drug testing topic, right? Which is the obvious one. And it's the one that I think people have really got the screws stuck to them over time in times where you can't prove they were high. And that's drunk or intoxicated driving, Chris.
Yeah, you know what kills me about that whole intoxicated driving is like here in Michigan, they treat it like a DUI.
You know,
So, like, even if I didn't smoke for a week, I'm going to test positive. There's no question about it.
and that's where we have, at least here in Colorado, the Colorado Supreme Court in at least in state has said, like, well, it is a DUI, but you need to really show me where they last used it. In some cases they might try to use the amount in your system, but I could argue that I got chocolate wasted on edibles and everything under the sun last night, but the intoxicating part, not the traceable, what you can trace, and this is where it gets fun. The intoxication of it is metabolized in a couple of hours, maybe 3 at the most, right? It's really rare that you stay stoned after 3 hours. If anything, you want to get the munchies, go to bed, eat something, who knows? But rare, Christopher.
Oh,
Rare.
definitely rare, big time.
Like a good
Yeah,
steak,
and,
medium
and
rare. Just kidding.
that's where all the scientific testing is going to come in handy because now it's going to put more stipulations on what actually is intoxicating and the length of time you're intoxicated by cannabis.
Absolutely.
Because this is
See,
definitely information that law enforcement needs to be well aware of, and the court system need to be well aware of that this, even though this drug stays in your system for the amount of time that it does, doesn't mean that you're still intoxicated by it.
100%. It's a stiff argument to not argue that, right? Like, so, like a stiff drink, which I enjoy, but I don't drive. Ha! Dum-dum, message. But like a stiff drink, I will say that, you know, so I'll give you a good example. I do believe there are times when people wake up the next day. You're not drunk, but you're definitely not going to pass a breathalyzer, right?
Right.
And I do genuinely feel for folks that happens to because you slept. I mean, you did everything right. You slept it off. You whatever. You woke up the next morning. You drove home. You got pulled over for going 2 miles over. You weren't even doing anything that would, um, what's the word? Indicate that you were drunk, right? You haven't done anything to do that. You just a couple miles over. Guy decided to hit you at the lights. Whoop, whoop. And of course, you're going to reek of booze. You were freaking getting white girl wasted the night before, like you're in college. So you get a DUI on probable cause, and then you're definitely going to still have alcohol in your system, and probably anybody can have a little over the legal limit. Like, oh, hold on. So I've seen people fail the breathalyzer on the scene, and then by the time they got to the jail and drew blood and got a real like test on them, it had dropped significantly below the legal limit because they were done. I've seen a lot of cases on this stuff. I'd be reading. Look, the internet is a treasure trove of everybody's bullshit.
Ain't it though? It's crazy how the body, certain people's bodies can metabolize the alcohol like that.
I am one of them. I sober up quickly,
R-
but I also
Really?
get really tired. And I think it may have something to do with having a little bit of low blood sugar and things of
Hmm.
that nature. Um, because while I've never had to like take any type of like medication for low blood sugar, anything like that, I just have to eat right, you know. Um, but which I eat really well now, and that's good. And then I also have my sweets. Let's just say low blood sugar ain't gonna be my problem. I always tell
Side
Kemi,
effect.
she's like, a good like flavored, no sugar, you know, herbal laced tea from the north, from maybe the northeast, yeah. And I am straight southern sweet tea from Georgia. Like I like sugar, I like sweets, I like candy, I like sweet people, sweet tea. I mean, I even like sweet people. I'm like, oh, you're so nice. Do you want to be friends? That's how I'm gonna get conned when I get old. Someone's gonna take me for someone's gonna take me for my $200 freaking MasterCard like credit card limit when I'm 85 because that's all my kids will let me have if I live that long.
Buying shit.
Honestly,
Buying shit.
what is the sweet? Hold on, stay on track. We'll come back to what is the sweet spot on death in a minute to finish the show. right? So we'll just remember to come back to what is the sweet spot on death for you, and I'll tell you what I think mine is, and then I'll tell you that anything before that is really going to be offensive to me. But anyway, so back to everything from now you have just like Tylenol with codeine can piss you hot for codeine's going to show up as cocaine, and
Yeah.
because it's still from the codeine family, codeine, cocaine, codeine, cacao, coca leaf. Hola. I think codeine though isn't codeine. You might have to look it up while we're talking, but I think codeine might be medically like a compound that's medically derived, like the blue opioid pill. That's not.
Yeah.
It's made. They try to make it not as addictive, by synthesizing it or whatever.
It was definitely
Heroin's from a
synthesized.
plant. A lot of that other shit is just synthesized. I'm pretty sure of it. Hold on. What is the damn? I can't even remember the name of those blue pills everybody used to smoke. I thought that was weird. I mean, look, full disclosure.
Not morphine.
Somebody had me hit something that had that on it when I was like, a couple times throughout life, right? And I can recall each time that I did not like it. I was just like, this is gross.
Oxycontin or
That
morphine.
oxys. I did see somebody smoke
Oxys.
morphine pill, but I was like, nah, bro. But then I was like, I don't do that. This shit makes me feel weird, bro. I was like, I smoke weed, and then of course, clearly at certain points in my life, I've clearly liked cocaine and amphetamines, but I was more of like listen, guys. I mean, full disclosure,
And
probably
fungus.
more like a white girl in college at a party. That's me. That's my vibe. Like white girl on white girl though. That's the problem. I'm like, oh my God, everybody who wants lines. And my friends like, put that away. People don't do that here. Honestly, a few times, got thrown out of a couple parties for that.
DD medical information. Okay, codeine is not from the cocaine family.
What is it then?
Opiate poppies.
Oh, so okay. So like
Yeah,
morphine,
comes from the poppy plant.
still poppy plant. Okay, so what about and that's okay, so what about what did you say? Oxycontins. Is that derived from the plant or is that a lab derived compound? You look that up.
Yeah,
I'll keep talking about funny stuff.
yeah, like codeine is the synthesized form.
So it's lab based. Got it.
Oh yeah,
So
commercial.
what about Oxycontin? It's synthesized as well, I thought, but I just want to make sure. So just for the record, folks, if you don't understand,
Codeine is classified as a natural opioid or opiate because because it's extracted from a plant.
but what about Oxycontins?
How about the fact that we extract medicine from cannabis?
How about the fact that you're not answering my question? That's hurtful. No, I'm kidding. Yes,
I'm working on it.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time. I find that if you ask your Google and mute your phone, that usually works. Yeah, people are like, get an iPhone. And I'm like, bro, donate to the show. Like, seriously, before you judge what phone I
Right.
have, make a donation to the
Right.
show, please. Thank you.
I don't
Write
like
us a check that
Apple.
says, mention me and my family as a donor to the show, like once every show, and write us a check for like $300. And you can, or well, technically, I wouldn't take a check. You could just Venmo me. If you don't got Venmo, then what are you doing? The Venmo doesn't pay me to do that. I'm not down. My kids are always like, get this app, get that app. I'm like, dude, I have like 3 banking apps already. Now you want me to download like 3 app ways to send you fucking money so you can milk me? Nah. You want to milk me for money, kids? You get what I have. I think that's fair, right? Like, Dad, send me money.
Oh,
Get Venmo. I don't
thi-
really want to.
thi-
I have one kid that won't download Venmo, and I'm like, girl, what is wrong with you? And she's like, I just don't want it. Get Cash App, Dad. I'm like, no. You know what? So I'll send her sister. So check this out. Her sister's is like a go between like a check cashing place. Like I send her because her sister has both applications. So I send her sister. I'm like, all I do is I send it to her with the other sister's name on it, and she's like, Hey, Dad, I sent that for you.
Is this like a dead drop?
Right? I'm like, I like sometimes when I'm like, should I call my lawyer on retainer and ask him, am I doing anything wrong here? Like, I have a daughter who is literally uncompromising. So I'm like wire transferring money between different companies because she's an asshole. But I don't think I'm doing anything wrong because you can send money to somebody and they can send it to somebody else. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I actually know that, like, just from working in like business and having to like do stuff with money and everything from you can think of, from making deposits to profit and losses and all that stuff. And then even using check cashing places when I was broke, poor and a broke hoe. Did you ever get caught in you had to borrow like $500 against your check? Remember that? A cash advance.
Yeah.
Oof, man.
Okay. Here's the kick on OxyContin. It's a hormone synthesized in the hypothalamus and released by the posterior pituitary gland. It is produced from a precursor protein encoded by the auxin gene,
So you said encoded
which
and synthesized, which tells me that's already lab. It's all lab.
it's all lab.
Which listen,
Which
for the record, guys, we knew that, but he's gonna go pretend like he's looking it up, and I'm gonna pretend like I don't know because I want you to know, and we can't always sound like smarty pants. So we're sorry for that charade. No, we're not. Are we really though? Are we ever sorry, Chris? Chris is sorry.
yeah,
He's really nice.
this is synthesized from the word go. Like it's catalyzed by the PAM, dependent on vitamin C to form the active 9 amino acid chain.
I mean, Chris, you know what else is dependent on vitamin C? My acid trip.
Yep.
Oh, you guys, I talk a lot of shit, but I haven't tripped or done anything like that in years. I haven't done any type of narcotic, any type of shrooms, any type of what else? Like acid is not the same as shrooms, but because they're two different drugs. But anyway, I haven't done like any but I haven't done any hallucinogens. I haven't taken this, that, or the other. I mean, short of taking I do have a sleeping medication. It's not like what you think. It's not like a sedative. I won't take something like that because it generally involves some type of narcotic or narcotic type substance, right? But I do take something that allows me to drift off into la la land because I only get, before I had that, like right now I sleep 4.5 to 6.5 hours a night. Before I had that, I slept like 2 hours a night and thought I was losing my mind. It was impacting me at the radio station and everything.
Oxycontin acts as both a hormone and a neurostimulator. Wow.
I want it to be a neuro not stimulator, mostly because I'm already in pain. I don't need any more stimulation. I need less. I mean, I'm just thinking here.
That's crazy.
So, lastly, I think something that may not change will change like anything is your work's not going to be able to bust your dick over taking Tylenol with codeine, right? I got a prescription for that. However,
Right.
I do think that what people need to understand is when we talk about a term used in the industry of everything called safety sensitive jobs, right? For instance, the Department of Transportation, federal agencies, certain because of Department of Transportation rules and the federal agencies that govern them, right?
OSHA.
All the way up to Congress, right? And so forth, and presidents signing laws that say, hey, this can't be this way for these folks. And I think that you're going to continue to see that it is still a controlled substance, as a controlled 3 substance is still a controlled substance. And if you're under the influence of like Tylenol with codeine as an example, right? You aren't supposed to be operating a plane, a truck. You aren't supposed to be a truck driver. You aren't supposed to be running a forklift. You're supposed to actually take that day off or don't take your medicine or wait till you get home and take your medicine. Which you can do, because I know that there have been times where I've been hurt, injured, and or otherwise, and I can't afford to miss work. So I'll just be
Right.
in miserable fucking pain, get through the
And
day,
go
and
through
then when I get
work,
home, I'm
medicate
getting
like a
more hopped up
motherfucker.
in a teeny bopper at a college party. I don't
Right.
But anyway, so I think that that's something that, the governing departments of like safety and like you can't be a bus driver and be stoned. But now, Chris, I would just segue back to our conversation uh a little bit ago, a few minutes back, or like 10, 15 minutes ago, when we were talking about um, you know,
DUIs.
UIs and stuff and how, like like look, think of it this way, guys. What if, let's just say Sharon and Steve. We're gonna make up some names here, okay? For our what if, and then we're gonna whatever I told you I wanted to talk about at the end that has nothing to do with this. I hope you remember because I'm stoned.
No, I'm
Fuck.
stoned too. So
We literally can't go back and find out. I'm gonna listen to the show later and be like, you two are two of the dumbest, fucking beautiful people I've ever met in my life. Because it goes to circle back to that. That's a great thing to end the show on. What were we talking about? No, anyway. Um, I feel like Mike Myers should pick us up. Somebody should
Where's my
sponsor
car,
us.
dude?
Like, it has to be like somebody from like SNL or something like that. Classic SNL though. Wayne's World. Somebody like you.
Wait, well,
All right, that's our I think our third one. This second one. This show. So I think we shouldn't flirt with that any further, brother. And we should switch to music ones. Okay. So back to my example. Sharon and Dave smoke pot after work. Dum dum dum. You know what I need right now? I need that fucking like Unsolved Mysteries theme song to be played in the background. I gotta think how it goes right now. But, Sharon and Dave smoke weed. And then the beat kicks in from Unsolved Mysteries.
yeah.
Sharon and Dave smoke weed. No, Sharon and Dave though are our coworkers at work. Okay. And they do what anything like coworkers do. They sleep together. What?
No.
I don't sleep with my coworker. Although when my girlfriend came to work with me,
You slept with her.
by a inadvertent accidental coincidence, I was for a moment, half a decade, sleeping with my coworker. Like I said, a moment. Like you can
Work
graduate
job
college
relations.
faster than that as long as you don't redshirt your first year.
Okay,
But anyway,
I'm with the example.
you can graduate high school faster than that, unless you're my cousin. All right. No, anyway, so I think that drug testing for Sharon and Dave becomes very particular when maybe Sharon slips up and says something that implies that maybe her and Dave they smoke a little get down on the Tokey Tokes, right? Yeah, bud. And manager likes Sharon but hates him, right? So then management leaks that to HR, who then drug test him and he loses job. While Sharon still works there because the manager likes Sharon, so she never dimes her out. So do you see how like drug testing for cannabis just in general anyway, in general could be used as a retaliatory measure against a coworker or a fellow employee. And I always tell people, if you have never been fired, let go, asked to resign, or otherwise due to a false or misrepresentation of you, your work ethic, or who you are as a person, then God bless you.
Right.
Because I honestly have had that happen several times in my life. Now you have to understand that I worked in the music, entertainment, radio, all kinds of industries that involve a very like Mean Girl high school, but very cutthroat, what's that show Suits? Very cutthroat vibe, like, like Wolf of Wall Street, cutthroat shit, right? Kind of vibe.
Right.
But it's more like high school Mean Girls level, if you ask me, but very cutthroat, like Wolf of Wall Street. And That's just how entertainment industry is. Like, somebody wants to be the DJ at the nightclub you're DJing at. And honestly,
Yep.
I want your job
Rumors
too.
start going.
I want your shit too. I want your job too, because that's money. That's money in my pocket. Now, when when I was coming up like that, that was just what it was. It was like, I want to get better. I want to practice, dude. I would tell people all the time, if it was a Friday night and I didn't have a gig or a way to gig or was just learning, then I would literally spin records for 3 or 4 hours and let my family hear. And if I messed up, they didn't care. And my family would just like my ex would just sit there and play on her phone and drink while I DJ'd on my turntables. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, granted, it's turned out that she was sitting there playing on her phone talking to her new boyfriend. But hey, listen, Chris, bygones are bygones, and I forgive you. No, her name was Chris too. But
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not going to give you her real legal name, but I just called her Chris for short. But anyway, long story short, my friend, I actually met you right after her and I had separated. That's why you don't even know her. You know of
Yeah.
her,
I
but
don't
you've
even
never
know.
met
I
her.
know
You
of
don't know her.
her.
You've met like 5, 6 girlfriends. Hey, look, she never listens. The other person that I like, does, listen, I had to spin a few tires and a few wires and get rid of even a few liars, and even had to stop being a liar myself. Let me just throw that out there, because you know what? Being honest is how you really grow and how you heal. Anyway,
Yep.
but and even at one point, realized that while there was nothing wrong with that relationship, it just wasn't the person for me and the time for me with that person anyway. And like, and there's been a couple times where I've been like, there's nothing wrong here, but it's just, I like you,
Yeah.
but I don't like you.
I
And
don't
that
like
takes
you
time
like
to
you.
sort through all that nonsense. So the truth is, Chris met like 6 girlfriends, maybe 5 or 6. Um, I ain't gonna say how many hoochie coochies, just like maybe 5 girlfriends. But he ain't never, you know, the rule of thumb is, when you're a traveling musician or artist or entertainer and you're a single person, you never kiss and tell.
No.
And you make jokes, you bust a few innuendos, you make Chris giggle. It's fun. See, when the best part about a good innuendo is that if anyone in the room knows what really happened, they always giggle. If anybody in the room has any insight into all the wild parties that me and Chris showed up at and left at, then it's Chris, and of course he's going to giggle. If Jamie was in the room, he may have giggled too. Honestly,
Yeah.
he's, I always tell people, DJ Kamikaze, you, Chris, and then I'll say probably the person that I've done the most like shows and concerts for, Little Flip,
Yeah.
all combined, probably would have giggled at those innuendos. In
Party
hindsight,
bus.
honestly, I think it was funny, like where I met Chris, or I mean, I met not Chris, I met Chris. I met Chris at due to a concert too, though. Funny enough, but what's funny is like
Yeah.
most of the people in my life have met me due to a concert. It's really funny. I mean, it's like really,
Funny
really
how
funny.
that works.
You know what I mean? Like even the woman I shouted married, if for eternitith, I hope, and she's gonna have to get rid of me. I'm not, and we aren't the type of people like. Okay, look, there's a few women that could pop up from my 20s and be like bullshit, but the truth is, we're not the type of people to just quit. But we have standards. So if you ever
Right.
put your hands on me, I then have reasons to not try, no matter what's going on. If you ever cheat on me or I cheat on you, I always say my best advice is, if you're gonna fuck around, don't get caught with your hand in a cookie jar, because it's not gonna
Yep.
matter to me whether you want to have a little fun or start a relationship. It won't matter to me. That's just 2 things that I don't play. We can get through anything, and God forbid someone ever gets sick around me. I'll take care of you every moment. I don't have to be at work, and that's only because I have to support us, for God's sakes, because you're down.
Right.
And but at the same time, there's like just 2 things that I just can't look past, you know, and this is so I'll say it this way. I think that people should show their level of faithfulness before they get married, right? whatever that means, however long that is. But God forbid, I always tell every woman I dated, if you're my wife, I will never fool around on you. That's just the end of it. Done. Game over. I don't do that. I'm not into that. I think that this is where you buy cars and build houses, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not into all that, just letting some piece of pussy ruin that for me. We can figure anything out. But I also,
Right.
but I ain't never had intimate. Like, let's just say if there were some intimacy issues, it wasn't me, man. Definitely wasn't me. Like, I'm a scallywag, Chris. We've been out together, bro. Singles. We were singles, homie.
Singles.
We've been out single together, and that is a mistake that I never should see again. Because one of us has to at least have a girlfriend so that we keep it grounded. You get me, you out in the woods, single, bro, and it's like, oh, let's go hunting. That's not okay,
Right.
because we're good gentlemen. But if you have a dog and a man, then you have someone to keep the dog in line. When you have two dogs, you have two
Yep.
wolves. And they going, okay. So I'm just saying, Chris, one of us always has to be in a relationship. And I think that's going to be me at least, but I think it might be both of us because you know what happened?
Yeah.
Sometimes a wolf turns into a dog and is like, listen, she's nice to me. I don't want to hunt for food. Hunting's hard. It is feast
Ain't
and
it?
famine for some reason when you're a hunter.
And it's dangerous too.
And you can't just dry smoke that meat and eat some jerky later because it don't work that way. Okay.
Nope.
So it sucks. I actually do not enjoy being single. Clearly, after having nearly decades long relationships throughout most of my life, and even in high school, people used to say, girls used to say, if you're gonna date him, you got to jump on the gravy train quickly because if you're gonna date him, he ain't gonna stay on the market long. And it's super true. I think because what people don't know is after my ex and I split up, I did not stay single for those 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Quite the opposite. I was in a 2-3 month long relationship a few times. I was in a 7th month long relationship one time. She didn't like me because I couldn't have kids no more. It's true.
Get out of
And
here.
I think we peaked in that department at different times, if you get my drift, or at least wanted to. I'm not even saying I wanted to, but it's just when it happened, it was like, all right, well, we're here. Now I'm going to cut off the tap. But anyway, but yeah, there was a lot of dating in there to try to figure, because you got to grow. I'd been in a relationship since I was like 25 years or 24 years old, right? 25 years old. So I had to learn how to so I had to learn how to date again and all that nonsense.
It's amazing how you change over time.
Yo, seriously. I used to think I was like, monogamy's stupid. I was like, that's why I should be single. But the truth is, no, I don't think monogamy is stupid. I just think that you need to, just fuck my ass and keep me happy. It's real simple. There are 3 women in my life total, and I didn't date. One of them was not somebody I dated for a long time. They did not figure that out for sure. But anyway, there are 3 women in my lifetime that were just like, if I fuck him and tell him that he is sweet, and then he will fuck me and tell me I'm sweet and even cook for me. And there are 5 women that understand that that's all you need. No, not even 5,
Right.
3 in my life. 3 women in my life have genuinely understood that that's really all you need from me. Everything else is on you. You got to take care of yourself. You got not literally, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
put down on this, whatever. But yeah, I find the whole process of dating to be repulsive. Actually, if you want to know the truth, I hate it. I do not like it at all. It's a conversation that me and the missus have had a couple of times, and I've told her no. I swear I've been.
I don't want to go back to square one.
I swear. After a decade, I'm locking it down. I'm done. I like you.
Right.
You like me. I can still hump your leg and it makes you giggle even though you tell me to get off you. My level of immaturity is funny to her. Although I will tell you, last night she was dropping. Okay, so let me give you an example of how love is, how you're really a truly and still love even after a decade. Last night she was dropping bombs, bro, funnies, good. And her, she's a little more. She's not serious like that, but in a group of a bunch of comedic minded Looney Tune idiots, she would almost come off as the more conservative mom, not
Oh yeah.
politics, just her like outward personality. Like she used to tell
Yep.
me to knock it off when I would say perverted stuff in the studio while somebody's in the
Right.
car laughing, right? And I used to tell her when we would go home, I'd be like, listen, I don't mean to air out the bedroom business, but listen, we're a hit show for a reason. It's because I do it, you don't like it, and they know I go home and get in trouble for it.
Right.
But anyway, so I will end it with this. There's going to be a lot that's going to change. And if you think it took, 30 years to go from 96 to 26 to a descheduling or lower scheduling, right? 30 years just to get it lowerly scheduled in the feds departments, right? So now I don't think it'll take 30 years to get to that next step or cannabis banking or something like that. I do think maybe for recreational, you might want to buckle up for another 30 years. I will tell you,
Yeah.
federal recreation, so in 30 years, I'll be, okay, maybe in my lifetime. Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, that's what we were supposed to talk about. Nailed it. It always comes back to me. Triggered myself this time though. Squirrel. So, what is your personal life expectancy? Like Cammie is over here like, I'm going to eat right, floss my teeth, keep plaque in my bloodstream down. She still vapes though. But anyway, but at least I got her to quit smoking, right? And she's like, I want to live to be like 80, 85 like my Nona. And I'm like, So you want to be an old, angry Italian lady who used to punk your husband, pretty much. I was like, okay. I mean, that makes sense. I, on the other hand, am scared shitless that I'm going to die before I'm 75. I think that if you can get to 78, that's great. Because that's the genuine rough life expectancy range is between 76 and 78, right? And I think that with retirement age going from 67 potentially to 68 or 9 or 70, right? I think being able to live till you're about roughly 78 to 80 gives you a decade of getting to really enjoy not having to really just be, a slave to a guy's yacht, a slave to a guy's giant building, a slave to some gal's factory, a slave to some gal's, 12 kids who all or 12 grandkids who all get to go to private school because you work, but your kids don't. At some point, at least you got to enjoy that for a minute because I really feel like it's going to be a bit of a slap across okay, there's a couple things. One, I feel like it's going to be a bit of a slap across the face if I don't get to retirement. But then again, I wonder if I ever will be able to get to retirement. You know what I mean? Like, it's an honest question, bro. Like, it really
Yeah.
is.
I mean, I imagine I'll make it to my mid 70s, early 80s. That's when most of my great grandparents and my grandparents passed away.
I'm going to fuck you up, dude. Most of my grandparents, okay, so I will say this, though.
I know.
The two that didn't smoke lived into their 80s or late 80s. Done. What were you saying?
It's quite a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. My other grandparent, so you got to understand that some of my grandparents that died, like my grandpa that died of cancer, one, he smoked, but two, he wasn't even biologically related to me from a genetic standpoint, right? And those are precursors and markers you
Yeah.
have to watch out for. But my other grandpa, I think he died at like 76, 78. What's funny is it's weird that we're talking about this because I have to call TT Nessie after this. That's my Aunt Vanessa. I have to call TT Nessie and call her and find out, not Nessie like the Loch Ness Monster, although I need to make AI. I'm not gonna lie to you. I need to make
Oh
AI.
no.
I need to make AI turn TT Vanessa into a Loch Ness Monster
Yeah, Loch
looking,
Ness.
but make it into like a Puerto Rican tree frog since she's, really Puerto Rican, But anyway, no, my on my father's side, my real father died at 55, but he had a non-inherited disease, right? And so his kidneys failed, but it wasn't genetic disease. It was literally something that he got. You know what I mean? Literally,
Yeah.
he caught hepatitis C. You're not
Yep.
born with that. And then his kidneys and
Yeah.
his liver started to fail, then the kidney failed, and then from there it's just it's a
Yeah,
horrible
it's
death. I literally
downhill.
watched this man die. It's the only person that I've seen. So I didn't see the person who got shot that died. I just saw them like
Yeah.
I saw everything go down, but I watched my real father die right in front of me. I watched him take his last breath, helped pronounce him dead kind of situation, right? And I will tell you that, so he died awfully, right? But outside of him, most of the people in my family, even some of the smokers and drinkers, live really old. I mean, my uncle literally was an alcoholic, bro. The one that was a lawyer for the union in
Yeah.
out in the Northeast.
Yep.
And he was a freaking alcoholic, dude. Had like yellow eyes when I seen him. I was like, bro, you ain't that far beyond my dad. Motherfucker lived another
Right.
decade or so, bro. Seriously.
Right. Right.
And that
He's
was still
pickled.
cirrhosis, bro, that got him. That's a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That's what I call cirrhosis. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, this is why I smoke cannabis. I probably should just eat it. I'll admit that all day, and I don't think that. I don't think that's going to take cigarette days off my life. Is it adding to my life? Oh, hardly. I mean, there's people, guys. Think about this for 2 seconds. There are actually people that work around like open fire, right? And just inhaling those carcinogens all day long, every day, working around that stuff is not good for you. I mean, even a cowboy out on the range isn't going to outlive someone who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do this and that. But I will tell you that there are studies that do back up, Chris, that not only ingesting cannabis, not necessarily smoking it, right, but ingesting it. And then there have been studies not only that back that up, but there have been studies that also back up that even having a drink like once every couple of, maybe just once every couple of weeks, right? Couple times a month
Yeah.
is actually really good for you. It helps
Yeah.
get that blood thinned out a little bit blood flow going, little things like that. And I'm not saying you should drink. Look, everybody to each their own. We get a lot of people that come in and check out the show that are very deeply religious people and just don't drink in general, right? And so, Chris, we've been around for a decade. We've been doing this a long time. We've had people of every walk of life on our show, even down to having kids on our show
We
representing
have.
cannabis. Of course, by God, no. We were a live radio show. They were representing for things they were doing in the community, for God's sakes. But what I'm saying is we even have kids that we've represented for everybody. But so I will say that, I'm not going to tell you to drink or even smoke cannabis, but if you take a Tylenol and you're deeply religious, then you can take a cannabis edible if you're deeply religious. I
Yeah.
recently dislocated and twisted my knee, guys, like literally on Friday. Like I'm sitting here in a straight leg brace while we're doing the show in miserable pain. And I haven't taken any type of narcos. I think so I haven't taken any recreational narcotics in a long, long time, but I haven't taken even like prescribed narcotics since I had, what one was it? I know I had I know I did a hernia surgery, and then I did a knee like cleanup scope thingy, and I did another hernia repair, but I don't remember which order they were all in, but they were all like, dude, it was like within like about a year to about a 15 and a half year and 18 month span, about 18 months to 15 month span. I had to have 3 surgeries. It was god awful, but that was the last time I had like narcos even from a prescription standpoint. But this time, twisted knee, no narcos needed. I've got a little THC rub to rub on my leg. I'm smoking pot while we're doing the show. It's literally just a huge bong rip. I'm not going to lie to you. But and then a little bit of edibles. I have some decarboxylated cannabis it's almost like oregano or like an Italian herb spice that I can literally just sprinkle over the top of my dinner. So tonight, when I make dinner, actually tonight, Chris, I'll actually mix it in with my spicy mustard because I'm having bratwurst and French fries. So what I'll do is I'll
Yummy.
take that and I'll just mix it right in with my spicy mustard. I'll mix in some of that decarboxylated, already made cannabis, sprinkle it right into my little dish of. They don't pay me to say this, but if you ever want to do a deal, sprinkle that in my sweet baby Ray's barbecue sauce. Because you know what? I don't care what nobody say, bro. They're never gonna pay me. Because I'm already over here telling you that's the best barbecue sauce. Like, shit, bro, already telling them.
Yeah.
That's why I never get paid. Because I love stuff so much that I'm willing to tell you how good it is, even though they should pay me for it. They should give me a little love. I'm saying, cut a check,
love.
$300-$400, help me and Chris.
Right?
Honestly, help me pay the credit card bill for the show. But
Right.
no, because this is like the month all the credit card bills. This is the month all the credit card bills. Not all the credit cards. I'm sorry. This is the month. So fucked up enough as it is. Like I pay all the bills for the radio station show here, our little podcast, everything we do. I pay all the bills all at once, right in February. Just get them all done for the year, and then I just lop it off the credit card after a couple months.
Yeah.
But anyway, I pay all the bills for like the year. But I'm telling you right now, like I'm like pissed, dude. Seriously, I'm about to get us a client. I'm about to have a weed
No.
dispensary. I just need that. Like I just grew our plant. I got to get that. Got to grow. I'm getting it to root. She wanted a cut of my giant
Right.
rubber plant. So I'm taking all her staff, cactuses I've grown. I'm hooking them all up with plants. I'm showing some love. I'm doing some community interest, building that rapport, because I also do want to ask them to be a client. Because I've been buying my weed there for like, dude, this goes back literally. You ready for this? This goes back to like 05, 06, 07, 08 when they opened. Because the minute they
Yeah.
opened, they were literally a block from my job that I'd been working at over in this area before I ever lived over here. Long time ago, like 3-4 jobs ago, right? 4 or 5 jobs ago. Well, if you don't count all the dumbass jobs, long-term jobs, 4 jobs ago. But anyway, 5 jobs ago, maybe. But anyway, and so I used to, what I would do is I'd go on lunch or break and I'd go right over to the shop. I tell them all the time, I'm like, I love you guys. I said, I've been working here longer than some of you have been old enough to work here. Seriously though.
Right.
I go, listen, if you know about the pre-rolled blunts from like 2008 to 2012, then you're old school like me here. Because back then they used to have pre-rolled blunts and I'd go there, flip out the card, the paperwork, the ID,
Yep.
grab me a pre-rolled blunt. I'd slide over to the McDonald's that honestly doesn't even exist there anymore. And I'd slide over to McDonald's, grab me some food, I'd hit Salsa on the Rocks because that's been there forever. Grab me some Mexican food because I'd call my order. Grab me some Mexican food, and I'd smoke that blunt from stop to stop to stop. And then when I got back to the office, because I was a manager, I could just eat my lunch while I was doing my work, unlike most employees. So I'd smoke that blunt down about halfway, put it out. No, that's for the rest of after work. When I get home, I already got it ready to go. Get out the cut, air out about a gallon of cologne, air out some more. I'd keep the cologne enough. So I'd keep it up. Well, I'd have it. So what it was is I'd have it in my like my professional bag. It's like it's kind of like a schoolboy bag, but for professionals, like not a merce, but a side bag, almost like a side figure, because they held my computer and everything in it. You know what I mean? My laptop. But But anyway, I always kept 2 bottles of cologne in there, and so I just put one in my pocket, go down, do what I got to do, be naughty, spray up, walk around outside for like a couple of minutes. Like I just, maybe text my ex at the time that when we were together, I'd like maybe text or call her or something stupid and check on the kids, and then go back in, spray as I'm going up the escalator, put it in my pocket right before I get high enough for the chick at the freaking secretary desk to see me. And then I just go through the office and make everybody smell this beautiful cologne. And I used to wear this cologne called, and it's very expensive still to this day, Jay-Z Gold. Bro, I'm telling you guys, I'm giving you my sexy tips on how I landed my wife. Literally. Thanks, Jay-Z Gold. Thanks. That's a good cologne. I remember when they dropped it. I was like, bro, that looks cool. I'll go check it out at Macy's or whatever the fuck it was at, where, when it came out. And then when I smelt it, I was like, hold on, smell this. And this person, that person, every person that smelled me, I had people thirst trapping me at the call center, bro. Like 20 years ago, literally 25 years ago at the call center, thirst trapped me over this cologne. So people, you now know my dirty secret and how the whole world led to me writing the song 50 Shades of Trey.
All right.
Out of here.
All right. Let's get out of here,
bro. It's been fun. We had fun today.
Much fun.
Hey, don't forget, coming up. Oh my God, we're so stupid. We're not even pre-selling the next show. Coming up. I don't even know. No, I'm just playing. Coming up. I lost my list. Oh, here it is. Coming up, part 2 of Wild and Crazy Headlines. So we're going to go out. We're going to find just some of the wild and craziest stuff. Dude, I've been watching so many TV shows, so much stuff to find just the craziest shit that people do to each other, themselves and or otherwise. And we're going to be talking about it on the next show with Wild and Crazy Headlines. Chris, find it, bring it. You know what to do. I'm not.
Yes.
I wonder if I should send you any links, or maybe I'll just send you all the Florida Man stories I've been watching. There's a whole show called Florida Man, bro. It's on like HBO Max or something like that. But anyway, it's on one of those streaming apps.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. Seriously, it's called Florida Man. I don't even like it. It's deplorably deliberate. And somehow I sit there and I laugh, but I shake my head at the same time in disapproval. It's like drunk history, but they're not drunk, so you're mad about it. Anyway, all right, man. That's enough of me selling people's products and items and streaming services.
Right.
They don't even sponsor us. We deserve that. Hear me out here. Weed is not a stigma anymore. Sponsor us.
Hook us up. We like free stuff.
We'll even stop cussing for you. We're not happy about it, but we did it for a half a decade to be on the real radio, so we'll do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
You gotta pay me because I got 99 problems and a sponsor seems to be one. Let's go. Let's get out of here. I'm done. Look, I'm done pettying and simping at somehow at the same time. I'm sipping and being petty. So I'm a petty simp. I'm out.
Hey, it's your girl, Cammie Renee, and you're listening to Wake and Bake America Show. You know I bring you the best.
We're smoking.